Kia ora, New Zealand. Welcome to Sweet Shane Live. My name's Matt Drake, and I'm joined as ever by my co-host Brady Cush.
Howdy, Matt.
How are we doing?
Doing all right. Recovering from last weekend, whatever you want to call it, from Nationals. How about yourself?
Yeah, not bad. I got bitten. I think the day after Nationals, or on the afternoon of the final round.
What, by like Cupid? Like, what'd you get bitten by?
by a white-tailed spider, I think. And so my foot very much hurt for a lot of Sunday evening, Monday, before I went to the doc and got some antihistamines, and thankfully has cooled down enough now to. I got a quick round in this afternoon, so yes, it's much better now, thank you. But anyway, enough of my health conditions. Let's get on with the show. We've got a great show today. We got hot scores coming for you for the last 2 weeks of hot scores from around the country. And then we've got your 2022 New Zealand Disc Golf Champion, Jay Watkinson, and joins us live from Christchurch. Then we want to have a little bit of a chat about the age of some players in the game. We've seen a lot of new players come in, and we've also seen a lot of old players still playing, not least Scott Stokely, who we had on the show a few weeks ago. And if you want to go and rewatch that episode, then it's still there. And then we've got our the updates to the power rankings and our picks for the Queenstown Classic, which is this weekend down in the Gardens. Okay, so we'll kick us off with hot scores starting down south in Invercargill, and Ethan Stout hits 14 under par at Queen's Park in Invercargill. And in Dunedin, 6 was the magic number, with Quinn and Harry Fraser both going 6 under par, and Cameron Mackey going 6 under par at Chingford and Brockville, respectively. Over to the Gardens, and it was Russell King who hits 13 under par, unlucky for some, not for him. And at Tucker Beach, Vincent Wilson goes 5 under par. Across to Wanaka, Matt Pritchard hit 11 under par to take out the hot score at Lismore, and Kyle Martin, a name we've not mentioned for a while, at 5 under par at Ely Point. So well done to Kyle. Across to Christchurch, Gregor Brosnahan has been dominating the Jelly Park leaderboard, and his hottest round was 17 under par. So very well done to Gregor. And across to Queen's Park, Willie Taratana takes out the hot round at his home course, and Joseph Berry hits 8 under at Brooker Ave for the honours there. Brady, take us through the north.
Let's go through the north, starting at Berhampore that hosted Nationals last week. Simon Fogarty comes in on the normal public course, -6. Well done, Simon. Out in Hakoikoi on the foreshore, one of our visitors to town, Fergus Tor, comes in at -7. Nice shooting, Fergus. Up to Harcourt, once and again, another visitor, though no stranger to Harcourt Park. Jackson Sullivan comes in with a -4 for the hot round of the week. Up to Linkletter, let's go to Palmy. We got Manuel Rangi coming in at -8. Good shooting, Manuel. Out in Inglewood, Connor McKinstry, the champ, getting it done, -4 this week out in the Naki. Over to Lakeside, let's go to Spa Park. Stephen Lawson coming in at -3, warming up there for the Taupo Classic. Out in Flaxmere and Hastings, Cameron Howell coming in at -1. Lots of those Hastings boys were down for Nationals. Good to see you. Up in McLaren's at the Extreme, we have Josh Pratt and Dane Sales coming in at -3 for the week for the hot round. Good shooting. And to round out the North Island, let's go to Stephen Brown Hawk. Welcome back to the land of the living and civilization. Comes in at -13 at the league at Henderson. Well done to Steve up in Auckland.
Excellent. There was some sanctioned disc golf played today, actually. The Thursday Throwdown down at Queen's Park this week was taken out by none other than our guest tonight, Jay Watkinson, with 16 under par, casually rated at 10.57. Yeah, exactly. I mean, if you're Jasper or Dylan, you've shot 12 under, which is 1,000 rated. You got to be pretty stoked, but you're also coming second. So, I mean, yeah, very well done to them. The hot round at Nationals, Morgan, for your information, was Jaden's last round, round 3, which was 10.21 rated. Although a hat tip to Levi Stout and Simon Feasey, who shot a 10-20 rated second round. So there we go. Without further ado, let's bring on our guest for tonight. Our guest tonight is none other than your 2022 New Zealand Disc Golf Champion. Welcome, Jay Watkinson.
Hey guys, how you doing?
Very good. Let me get you on the big screen. There we are. How's it been then? How's the last what we at 4 or 5 days?
Yeah, it's been pretty good. It's been pretty surreal. I mean, the past few days, even just going out the course and people congratulating me and stuff, it's still a pretty surreal feeling, you know, to have achieved something like that. Yeah.
Because did you come up thinking like, sweet, I have a chance, like I'm going to walk away a national champion? Like, what's it like to come into like arguably the biggest tournament of your career thus far?
Oh, well, honestly, like coming into that first round with, you know, being approached by yourself to be on feature card, you know, I really came in thinking like, man, I just, you know, got to play well for the camera, and my mindset was kind of just focused on that first round. And then after obviously having the hot round in round one with Jacko, you know, thinking, man, I'm on the camera again, and it gets really quite draining, like mentally. But I think it was after day one that I thought, hey, I could actually have a really good shot at, you know, finishing top 5 at nationals. So it really was just one day at a time for me, one hole at a time. Yeah.
Fantastic mentality, I think, and a great example of like you can't win nationals on the first day, but you can put yourself out of contention on the first day.
Yeah.
And yeah, so maintaining that mental kind of focus. Did you find it easy to do with playing 1 round a day and also having all of your rounds pretty late?
I wouldn't consider it easy to do, but like having 2 rounds is nice because you kind of get into that rhythm for the second round. It's a bit easier to focus on maybe some of the mistakes you made in the first round. I think the hardest part, as I mentioned before, was being at 2 o'clock, how, you know, just mentally draining it was, you know, thinking through every scenario after you finish, you know, round 1 or round 2, thinking everything that could go wrong the next day. You know, waking up thinking, you know, I've got to wait till 2 o'clock, and everything throughout your day is just, you know, that little bit more mentally draining than, you know, getting that morning or early round in, or having just 1 round a day is I think a little bit tougher mentally, but obviously a lot easier on the body and physically to just play 1 round a day.
Well, and then coming up, you know, like it's Matt and a lot of North Island disc golfers, you know, like joke that South Island's pretty flat and pretty short, you know, like you talked about mentally draining. How did you prepare physically to come up to, you know, like what, you know, the hills and the rigors of competing in nationals? How'd you prepare?
I didn't have anything specific really to prepare, but I guess the most important thing for us being in the South, having flat ground, is just knowing your discs really well, knowing what they do on the winds. And, you know, obviously you've got that general thing in the back of your mind, like if you're going downhill, throw unstable. If you're going uphill, throw stable. But I think the most important part coming to the North Island is, as I said before, knowing your discs, knowing what you're going to do in each wind scenario, and just really knowing your bag inside out and backing yourself before you know, take all of those throws, and not saying, oh, I should have thrown this disc or should have done this, but going in thinking, you know, this is the right decision, and backing yourself, you know, having watched plenty of coverage of, you know, Jomez or local stuff on Flexline, just learning and watching, taking in, obviously, you know, heading into this one, I watched the Baron Paw coverage tons of times over and over again, you know, learning the holes, taking in, you know, your guys' commentary and saying things about the rollaways and just taking in all those small things. So I didn't really have anything specific training in terms of shots, but it was more just studying the course and things like that.
Sounds like you really did your homework. And in terms of getting used to knowing your discs, talk us a little bit through the routines you go through to learn them. I mean, is it simple as go to a field and throw until your arm falls off, or is it you know, you've got something specific that you do?
It's nothing specific, but it is really just going out and field working in all different directions of the wind. Like I find for me personally, if I go out and work on my drives, it's really fun and easy to just go out and practice in that tailwind, go out, collect your discs, take them back, throw the tailwind again. But I quickly learned at the Southern Smash, how important it is to have long straight drives, which is something that, I haven't had much experience in tournaments as such, but playing a course like Brooker, it's really easy just to have all your discs finish on a hyzer and there being no consequence. So going to the Southern Smash made me realize there's tons of shot shapes that I don't actually know yet. And one of them was, as simple as it sounds, a straight drive. Because if you're fading out left, you're going to be under branches or not in the best position. So going to the field and practicing in all different directions, all different stabilities of discs, seeing what they do when you put them on different angles and understanding how the wind gets under it and pushes it different directions. And that definitely plays a huge factor, like just going out to the field and learning different shots that's not at your local course. Because there was a lot of learning that kind of happened for me at the Southern Smash, and I took that home and started working on different shot shapes that I didn't have for that tournament. Yeah.
Well, and then arguably, like as the tournament director at Nationals, I'd be reluctant, I'd be remiss if I didn't ask, like the Southern Smash there, like pushing things when it comes to down south and course design and like events, and Nationals and that kind of stuff. Having played other events around the country, like coming into Wellington, did it live up to your expectations? How did you find like Nationals as a tournament in like the course? Like was it a championship caliber like event and course, or was it just just another day at Queen's Park?
Well, I think that it's hard to put into words, but I guess like the Southern Smash course was really challenging in a sense that it's not easy to birdie any of the holes. Like you have to work for any birdie you get on that course is really good going. And you can see that reflected in the scores. And coming to a course like this, it definitely lived up to my expectations in the sense that there's a lot of mistakes to be had and they can be costly. I think not as costly as some of other courses I've played where there's a bit more out of bounds, but there's a lot more natural hazard here, which you really have to be aware of, that you don't really need an OB for. But I think the main part for this course that played difficulty was like all the slopes on every hole, like, the rollaways, do you lay up, do you run the putt, all those different things. And it's really easy if you're not on your game to just slip that little bit that can kind of let your whole round go. Like the key at Barrenport is playing 18 really good holes and not having those 2 or 3 where if you mess up, you're picking up that bogey, that double bogey, which is really easy to have at Barrenport with all the slopes. So if your putting's just that little bit off, or you run the risk and it doesn't pay off, putting towards a steep slope, or I saw it multiple times, people just missing a putt and rolling 30, 40 meters long, like simple things like that. So it has its own different challenges at Barrenport than say somewhere like the Southern Smash or like the Wahitapu layout and all that kind of stuff. But yeah, it definitely lived up to my expectation. You had to work for every birdie and yeah, there's lots of consequences to be had on that course.
A comment that I heard coming into the competition about you, and one that was evident from what I saw of your final round, was your putting. And I'm going to specifically reference hole 12 on the final round. You'll see this on the Flexline media coverage for anybody who didn't watch it. Was a real. It was a point in the tournament that really kind of started to change for things to go in your favor. It going into that final stretch, as the potential, the number of people who could possibly go and take it out was dropping. That point really kind of put things into is the start of the kind of a few holes that switched for you. And I can remember your drive off. This is the one. The hole 12 goes across like a little valley onto a very sloped green. And if you chain out or hit the cage, you can find that the disc very quickly gets up on its edge and goes down the hill to the fairway. Unfortunately, that's what happened to Levi, and he had to then pitch back up to take a bogey. You, however, your drive went into the trees, and then you kind of played out of the trees to kind of the edge of the fairway, and then made an absolute clutch edge of circle putt from where you'd landed, and I must have been edge of circle, but you had everything you don't want to miss behind you. So, like, how much of your game do you say is putting, and how much do you think is kind of the strength in playing like the mid game, and how much is driving? Would you say, of those kind of three things, where do you consider your strengths to be?
Oh, that was a long question. I think putting is definitely, I'd consider, the most important part of your game. Because at the end of the day, you can have amazing drives and whatnot and approach shots, but it's the putt that is going to, finish off the hole, finish off the round. And I definitely, it's some people find it as one of the more, not as fun things to practice, but for me, I really enjoy putting practice. Is something about it for me. I just love, thinking, if there's a putt I can't get, I want to do it over and over again until I can get it. And especially on a hole like hole 12, seeing Levi, unfortunately roll the way down, for me, looking at that putt, seeing all the consequences is, the first thing I thought was, lay up here. It's a good decision, but also having that confidence in yourself to step up to that. And for me, when I looked at that, I just thought, like, it may sound arrogant, but I just thought, looking at it, I'm going to drain this. And part of me felt like, don't be the hero guy, lay it up. Don't be that guy. But when standing there, I just genuinely thought in my head, I'm going to sink this putt. And that's what, obviously that's what happened. I stepped up to it, and, you believe it in your head, if you believe you can be a great player and make those putts, then it definitely helps and reflects on the course, as your confidence. So, it's hard to say that putting is all aspects of the game are super important, but putting really cleans up bad shots, or can really, cover up that errant drive that you put out. But I'd say definitely, for me personally, it's one of the most important parts of my game, to putting together a solid round. Yeah.
So that's, you mentioned earlier that, like one of your gigs is teaching students, like in music specifically. But if, you're a national champion now, like I'm a junior player, like I'm coming up in the ranks, I'm in Christchurch. Like, what tip can you give like new and growing, advancing players when it comes to how do they be a national champion putter? Like, how can they stare down that putt on hole 12 with like the lead in their hand, or the lead in the balance? Like if you miss that putt and roll away, what gives you that confidence? What tip can you give to those people wanting to become better putters?
Obviously, the first step is obviously practicing putting, and it sounds really simple, but just like sitting in the backyard and draining putts until it feels natural. And for me, this was the first tournament that I felt like, for me, stepping up to my putts, it felt like my practice routine putt. It just felt like it came out naturally. And often in tournaments, it's really easy, to, sit in your backyard and, drain 10 in a row from 6 meters, and then get out to that tournament round, and you're like, man, my putt feels funny. I can't, it feels so weird. But that's, you need to put yourself in a position, if you're doing hundreds of putts a night, I guarantee you'll see immediate change in your game. You'll feel more confident. And for me, like, I don't practice 10 meter putts, 11 meters, 9 meters, or anything like that. I'm just like, for where I'm at now, I'm just sitting at that 6 and 7 meter mark. And now that I'm started feeling really comfortable from 6 meters, once you start hitting 90 out of 100 quite consistently, then take a step back to 7 meters. And don't, for you younger guys, you don't need to focus on trying to hit these big putts that, look awesome out and get an applause on the course, but really get those 5 meter putts if that's where you need to start, and putts where you don't miss those. Get those 6 meter putts. And it was quite inspiring hearing even the likes of Gannon Burr. If you listen to the coverage of him saying he only putts from 10 meters and that's all he does. Obviously I'm not at that level. I'm comfortable putting from 6-7 meters, and that's me for now. And you'll find that as a player, when you start nailing those 6 meter putts, your confidence all the way out to the circle and even outside the circle for me had just like skyrocketed. Like, I don't practice jump putts or anything like that, but you find once you dial in your form and you're comfortable with it and you back yourself out on the course, that whole range just expands, where you might not be draining everything, but you're getting medal, you're getting cage, which is the most important part of not getting those, big comebackers, which often drop a lot of strokes. So yeah, I'd definitely say pick your range that you're not confident, 90% or more, and work on that one range until you feel like, yeah, I drain this all day, every day.
Yeah, I mean, it also must help your upshot, right? If hey, all I've got to do with this upshot is put it within 6 meters, and I can make it. I'm 95% from inside 6 meters, so I'm going to make the putt, right? And 6 meters. 6 meters away gives you an area of over 100 square meters to aim for. That sounds bizarre, but it's how it works out. The data analytics team told me that, and it's over 100 square meters to aim for, and that's on an upshot can take a lot of the pressure off, or a drive. It could be, and knowing that you've got a little bit more room to put it in, knowing that it's all right. On the next shot, I'm going to get it in for a birdie or for whatever. Morgan wants to know how many hours a day, week are you putting in on the putting green?
It really changes depending on the week schedule, obviously. But I'm trying to get at least 200 putts up from 6 or 7 meters. I'm pretty fortunate because I've got a little stretch. I don't have a big radius to putt with, like a full circle, but I do have a long, narrow. I have one outside that's just 10 meters at least, and I'll go outside, before I go to bed if it's not too late, for the neighbors or whatever, and try put up at least 200. And then I've also got, I'm pretty fortunate because I've actually got one in my room, and just the way my house works out, I've got like my doorway, and then right behind my basket is like a curtain. So if it's raining, or which obviously not everyone has the luxury of doing, I'm still getting putts up in my bedroom, even if it is just 6 meters, so I'm always trying to get putts up. I'm always probably, I don't know if I could put it to hours, but probably around an hour each day, give or take. I miss a few and then do a few another hour on a different day, but around 100, 200 at least, I'm trying to get up each day.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. Finally, before we move into Desert Island Disc Golf, I'm sure you're aware, but if you weren't, then I'd certainly, I want to know either way. By winning the New Zealand Disc Golf Championships in the MPO, you have qualified for the 2023 Disc Golf Pro Tour Champions Cup. Which in 2023 will be held at the Toboggan Course in Milford, Michigan, home of normally the Great Lakes Open. So, are you going to go?
Oh, I'd love to go. My dad's very supportive of me and my disc golf game, and he loves, finding ways to get me to tournaments and things like that. So I think, I'd love to go. If we could, figure out some sort of sponsorship. I'm not in the best financial position right now to, fund that myself. But for me, one of my, goals when I first started playing disc golf, I heard of amateur worlds. Like, don't take cash and you can play amateur worlds. And since I've started playing, I just thought I'd love to do that. And Dad said, one day if I can, kind of be confident and get up to that kind of level of disc golf, then we might be able to make a way to get over there. So it's definitely a strong possibility for me to go to the States and play a tournament there. I'd love that. Yeah.
Yeah, well, you've qualified, and very, very deservedly so. So you'll get a chance to if you I really hope you can go, actually, and I really hope you can get there. You'll get to play with all the pros, basically. This year in April, it's being held in Georgia, and Justin Workman, who won last year, he's playing in it. So yeah,
Cool.
we'll look out for that. So yeah, and it would be great to have a New Zealander. I know Justin was in the country for a long time, but as a New Zealander competing on the international stage would be fantastic. And who knows where your game might be in over a year's time. I mean, given that it's progressed really quite quickly, you could argue. Then yeah, that's it'd be great to see. There we go. It's already there. Excellent. Good stuff. Right, we're going to move on to Desert Island Disc Golf now. So the premise is, if you're not familiar with this section of the show, the premise is that Jaden is deserted on a desert island. Stranded on a desert island, I should say. And this desert island's got a disc golf course, and he's been stranded with 3 of his favorite discs and 3 of his favorite card mates. So, Jaden, what are you throwing?
I've got a few discs down here. I had a wee bit of struggle putting it down to 3, but I'd probably start with my Ricky Wysocki Destroyer. Now this thing is got a good flip on it, so it's more of a hyzer flip. Really good for forehands too. You can shape a lot of shots with it. I mean, a Destroyer says it all for itself, really. It struggles in wind, but it's probably what I'd take for Desert Island. Next, I'd probably take the soft Envy.
Yes, Envy.
I was pretty hesitant at first to kind of jump on the Envy bandwagon, but I ended up picking one up. And,
it's a great bandwagon to be on.
It's just amazing. Like, you can throw it on and it's going to hold its line, and flip ups or straight shots. Just for me, it filled that part of my bag that I was really comfortable throwing that putter in particular. So definitely would put the Envy in there. And
what are you putting with?
I'm putting with Lunas.
Okay.
But Lunas aren't making it to the island.
Hey? No, well, I'm more comfortable. I think I'd be more comfortable throwing and putting with an Envy as opposed to throwing and putting with a Luna. Personally. And then I'd probably lastly bag the Buzz. You can't go wrong with a Buzz. It's a little bit scratched and beaten now, but
yeah, good on you for throwing a 4-claw Buzz as well.
Absolutely. Yeah, well, yeah. At the time, I didn't really think much of it, and I just got got a couple, and I thought I got to throw this.
Yeah.
But yeah, a Buzz again says it all for itself. It holds its lines. It a little bit beaten. It can be a nice flip up disc. Yeah, it's probably what I'm bagging, those 3.
Fantastic. And who are your card mates?
Probably just take the boys out. I'd take my dad out and my brother Judah, and probably Joel as well. Joel Kukawa. If I had to take a pro out, I'd take the goat out, Paul Macbeth. So yeah,
lovely stuff. Excellent, good stuff. Okay, so we're going to move on to the quickfire round. So the quickfire round is a family-friendly front 9 containing 9 very easy questions that everybody gets, and then there's a safari back 9, which changes each week for everyone, and it takes the form of a this or that, and it's quick fire. So here we go. What's your name?
Jay.
Where were you born?
Christchurch.
Where do you live now?
Still Christchurch.
And your PDGA number?
188589.
And how many years have you been playing?
Just over a year now.
And your favorite disc?
Buzz.
And your favorite course?
From what I've played, probably the Southern Smash layout.
And your favorite MPO player?
Paul Macbeth.
Your favorite FPO player?
Page Pierce. Yeah.
Excellent. Brady, take us through the back nine.
Okay. Let's start with shaved head or bowl cut.
Bowl cut, for sure.
Drums or guitar.
Guitar, clearly.
Perform on stage with the Drax Project or join Steph Curry for a practice session.
Steph Curry for sure. Yeah.
San Francisco or New York.
New York.
USA or Africa.
USA.
Would you rather shoot 18 under par or have an 1100 rated round?
Depends on the course for the 18 under, but 1100 I'd go with.
Would you rather be the Pro Tour Rookie of the Year or the Amateur World Champion?
Pro Tour Rookie of the Year.
Would you rather be two-time New Zealand Disc Golf National Champion or be the New Zealand Disc Golf Tour Champion?
Tour Champion.
And would you rather run it or lay up?
Run it every day.
Every day.
Lovely. Thank you so much, Jay, for joining us. It's been great fun having you on the show. Congratulations again on your victory. We'll see you. You're performing. You're playing in the in the classic this weekend.
Yeah. I'll be there.
So a lot of people will get to see you play there as well.
Yeah.
And fingers crossed that you can get to Milford in 2023 as well. It'd be great to see you take on the toboggan.
Cheers, Jay. Good luck down south.
Cool. Thanks for having me, guys. Catch you later.
Cheers, then. See you later. Oh, where are we going? There we are. And that's still with the right way around. There we go. Yeah, look, fantastic. Great effort from Jay. And a couple of things that I took away from that chat that I think are worth just mentioning again is two things. One is how much he's done his game prep, so his putting practice and his field work. It's obvious to me that he spent a lot of hours in the field, a lot of hours on the putting green, and so a lot of hours practicing disc golf without playing disc golf. If you get what I mean. So that was obvious. The other thing is he's done his homework mentally as well. So he's studied the course beforehand, worked out what the lines were, where the hazards were, and I think when you combine both of those things, yeah, absolutely fantastic performance from him last week, Brady.
Well, and I would argue that that's the future of champions. You know what I mean? Especially on the disc golf course, is that it's not just you rock up, you're cold out the car, like you jump on the course and you throw 18 under par, you throw 1,000 rated round. Like, to be honest, 1,000 rated isn't enough anymore. Like Jay just threw a 1050 rated round. That's like the top 3 players in the world average 1050. You know what I mean? And like we have a player in New Zealand who's just done that. And he's been playing for a year, but like you said, he's doing his work both on and off the course, whether it's in the field, whether it's on the putting practice. Didn't he say he was like putting in his bedroom from like 6 meters when it's raining? Like, yes. If that doesn't to me say like I'm a national champion, like I don't really know what does. So yeah, you can say he's 21. Yeah, you can say he's, like from the South Island in Christchurch, but like I'm super stoked. Like I put him on the feature card because when I watched him battling and pushing all those holes with Cam Hubbard's in the skins match on Flexline, I'm like, this kid's got something, like, let's see what he's got, like, let's put him on some coverage. Not only, and he owned it, like he rested himself. He was dealing with his shoulder injury, like coming up on the weekend. He literally came to me. He's like, look, bro, like I don't have a forehand, like my shoulders hurt. I don't know if I can, like compete at that level, like you might choose someone else. And I'm like, no, bro, the spot's yours. Like you've earned it. And he really did, like he came up, he showed up, like you said, he did all his homework off the course. He did all of his homework on the course for what he could do. He took his lessons that he learned, like if you looked at Southern Smash, Smash, like, yeah, he performed well, but did he perform at the stage that, Nationals was another level? And if this is him 1 year in, the idea that is I wouldn't necessarily call him a Gannon Burr, you know what I mean? Like, he's Jay's a very smart player. Like, and Gannon has a lot of that kind of natural tendency of, like, oh, I'm going to putt from like 10 meters, like Jay's built a really, really good foundation. So, like, I'm kind of excited to see where he will go forward. Like 1-2 was a 21-year-old and a 16-year-old, you know what I mean? Dethroning, like Jackson and Kana, who are like what, in their like mid late 20s, Simon, who's, like a senior grandmasters now, or, don't get me wrong, like they all played great golf, but like these young kids coming up are like, they can play.
Yeah. And when you put that together with doing the right kind of prep and the right kind of sort of mental attitude, then I think that's really key. What really struck me about Jay, both during the weekend, but also in our interview then, was the maturity of his mental approach to the game. We've seen it in other players as well, but I think that it would be very easy to get onto coverage on that first round with a bunch of players who A, have played on coverage before, B, have competed at the highest level in New Zealand before, and fluff your lines or even just stumble, right? But he came out and shot the hot round, and that was great. So to see that kind of mental fortitude, if you like, maintained was fantastic. Brady, you need to take a mulligan. Levi's 15. But yeah, so
I mean, he acts like a 16-year-old. I'll probably still check his ID anyway.
Maybe. Yeah. So look, it's quite interesting, that we've got a season now where kind of the age of players is really kind of telling a little bit of a story here. You've got some, and really, if we had a look through the top players, you've got Simon Feasey, who's I won't embarrass him by trying to guess his age, but like an older gent, and Jackson, who is older as well than some of the other guys. But then you've got obviously Levi, Jay, Joseph. I'm not sure how Joseph is. I think.
He's down with Jay, I think.
Yeah, and then Andy's in his early to mid 20s as well. So like. And Jasper, so you've got a lot of very young up and coming players in New Zealand who are doing some really, really great stuff.
Well, and like and it's also like really interesting too. Like there was 2 shots in, but it's not to say that like you can't. I would not say that age is a barrier when it comes to disc golf. You know what I mean? Like in the Pro Masters, there was a great battle that came down to like 2 shots between Joe Fish and Chris Dixon. Like Chris Dixon had the lead, like for most of the weekend. In the AMS Masters division, like they pushed it to a playoff, like that had to be decided over 2 holes. So, like just because, like these young bucks are coming in, and throwing some hot rounds and like playing some really, really good disc golf, that's not to say that it's not out there. Like being a little bit older player, like coming from like Ultimate and that kind of stuff, like how has it been for you, Matt? Like rather than, someone like Jay or someone like Levi of like, oh, hey, look, like by the time they get to our ages, they're going to have been playing for over a decade. Like what's it like the other way? Like what's it like to kind of come into disc golf with that experience already off the course and then try to adapt it to on the course?
It's an interesting question and quite a frustrating one in a way, because I can remember when I started playing Ultimate, which was in 2003, when I was 20, and at that point when I started playing Ultimate, there were already kids. There was a local college down the road from the university that I went to that had an Ultimate kind of program, and it was just churning out. They were multiple time junior champions, and they were just churning out like GB players from this college, and so it was a little bit frustrating then. So to come across then to disc golf and find I was experiencing exactly the same thing, which was this kind of feeling of, wow, I wish I'd started playing this game 20 years ago. It was really quite humbling, but great to see, and it's the difference with between disc golf and ultimate is that I can continue to play and enjoy disc golf as I get older, and whereas ultimate, I think my enjoyment of the game would suffer as I got older, because I just know I can't keep up kind of fitness wise, if you know what I mean. Whereas with disc golf you can still go out and being incredibly competitive for a lot longer into your life, I guess, like you were saying, and we've seen that as well, right, with Simon Feasey going and shooting 10-20 golf in his I don't know how many tournaments. Bob Gentle played his 44th tournament, right, and 44th national tournament this past week, and is still playing still playing over 900 rated golf, which is fantastic. So for disc golf, I think it's got such a wide playing time. For someone like Levi, he's going to be playing disc golf for the next 50 years, and that's just quite scary, quite honestly. So fantastic. It has changed the rankings, the power rankings somewhat, nationals over the last week. So let's bring these up now. So there's not much change in the ladies division. What we see in the ladies division is Minky Vorster climbing up 6 places to 9th after she took out the FA1 division. And the rest of the FA1 division more or less went according to how the rankings were, which is why you don't see very much movement outside of that. Over in the MPO side, Jaden Watkinson finds himself rocketing up to 4th place, up 17 places from 21st, it must be said. So it wasn't like he's come from like 90th or whatever and just stormed in. Took 5th place at the Smash, took 2nd at Terepi last year. So I mean, he's done some things before, and now he takes out 4th spot. He's got a little bit of a way to, I think, and rightly so, I think, before we can start. He can start challenging Jacko for the lead there. Conor McKinstry, who caught me in the car park after Nationals and said, I'm a little bit disappointed with my ranking. Well, you've gone up 6 places, Conor, to 6th place. So I hope you're happy with that. Good performance by Conor coming in 4th place. And the other mover in the top 20, Joseph Berry, moves up 13 places to 13th place, following his 5th place at Nationals. So well done to him. Other big movers, Mitch Hudson took out the MA1 division and at the same time moves up 27 places to 45th. And Joe Seebeck, taking out the Masters, Pro Masters division, moves up 18 spots to 64th. So this brings us on to this weekend, which is down in Queenstown. Slightly different course to Berrenport, not as much elevation, arguably a touch shorter. There are it's not the regular Gardens layout. There's 21 holes around the Gardens area, and yet will be challenging. Especially, I'm not seeing the forecast, but the forecast for Wellington over the weekend looks pretty dismal. So we'll have to check in on that shortly. Brady, what's where are your picks going?
Well, yeah, I was going to say, I was just kind of quickly checking in on the weather. It looks like Friday, Saturday are going to be wet. Sunday looks sunny, so they might get a spot there, which is good for Queenstown. I'm going to go in no particular order. I got to say, a lot of those Christchurch players are playing hot. I'm going to pick Jay for the top 10 again. I think he's doing really well. Queenstown Garden tends to be a course like if you need to putt, and his putt is on at the moment. I think Ashton Clark is going to join him. I think, like he's been making a lot of late charges. So if he can start out strong, he should be a good contender for the top 3. I'd also like to put in Isaac Sasu. Man, I can never get Isaac. Can you
Sasanuma.
please help me pronounce your last name? Do you got it, Matt?
Sasanuma Howard.
Sassanum Howard. There we go. Thank you. Has also been playing really well as of late. You know, like it's again those nice kind of clean, smooth lines through the woods. So if he can stay clean, he should be just fine. And then I probably got to put Chris Dixon was doing some really good work up here in Barranport. So I got to put him top 5. And I will actually kind of coming off his injury. I know that he's going to represent, and he finished really well down at the Smash. Hemi Teofitu. I'm going to put him to round out my top 5. How about you, Matt?
Yeah,
what do you got?
Look, it's another packed field, to be honest, which makes it really difficult. 5th place, I've got Ryan Cambridge. Unfortunately, couldn't come up to nationals for reasons, but has been playing really, really well recently, and I think could do well at Queenstown. Then I've got some local. Everyone else, 4th place. So I've got Jay to win it, right? Because I think he can take that form, and it's all about putting and kind of short shot shaping within the woods, which I think is a strength. So I think that Jay can take it out for 2 back to back, which would be fantastic. In second place, I'm going for Hemi. He's been playing really well as well. I mean, Heislander, I think he took out the Masters division at Heislander, and came pretty near the top overall. 3rd place, I've got Mikey Yu. You just can't count him out in the Gardens. I mean, it's his home course. He's pretty much there every day, and he's got a variety of different shots, which I think he'll be able to use to his advantage. And then 4th place, Ben Willake. I've got my fingers crossed for a resurgence for Ben Willake, and so I've got him coming in 4th, and then Ryan rounding up the top 5. In terms of the ladies,
who do you got?
I've got in 3rd, I've got Megan Merrick. I don't know too much about the ladies field here. At 2nd place, Casey Brown played very well at Heislander, and I've got Eilish to take it out in 1st. What have you got?
Interesting. So I'll reverse a couple of those. Casey Brown, I have in 3rd. Casey is one of those that like legit, if most fun wins, she wins every round of disc golf she plays. Honestly, so much fun. I have Eilish in 2nd, but if I'm not mistaken, yeah, there she is. Nicola Stout's going to take it out. She played really well, super solid golf up here at Barranport. I think the Queenstown Garden is going to cater to her. I would love to see her take another like women's trophy home. So yeah, Nicola for my number 1 spot.
Good stuff. Right. So that brings us to the end of tonight's show. Just some events which are coming up. Let's have a look. We've got there we are. We got the Classic this weekend. We got Paradise in 2 weekends' time, and then Topor, which has sold out. So they've reached capacity at 160 players. They've reached capacity. So if you do want to play in that tournament, then get yourself on the waiting list and hope that some people can't make it. So make sure you do that sooner rather than later. That's on the weekend following. That's Anzac weekend. So that's the weekend after Easter. And there's a big contingent from Wellington coming up to Topor, so make sure you get to play that if you can.
Yeah, Matt, you're missing 3 kind of key events, 2 in Wellington and 1 up north. So this weekend, Hosker is in 2 weeks time.
Sorry. Yes, Hosker is this Saturday at Petone, 9:30 on the foreshore. The first round, excuse me, will be random mixed doubles. So turn up, and we'll tell everybody who their partners are when we get there. So make sure that you get to Hosker if you're in the capital this Saturday morning. And
Okay.
we've got on Sunday,
Yeah.
we've got the Trentham second pop-up day, which we're going to be playing the full 18 holes now. So this is a bit of a tester day at the Trentham Golf Course. Come along, it's $10, and if you it will be a day where you can play the course as long as you like on the day. 18 holes designed by Woodhouse Disc Golf, and they're looking at making it a permanent fixture. But these are some tester days to see if we can play nice with the golfers. So yeah, come along on Sunday, play nice, and yeah, that'll be good.
And if you are in Greater Wellington, bag tags have arrived. So if you want to get in on the bag tag battles this year, please come out to both Hosker and the Trentham pop-up. I will have bag tags. There already has been a post on the Greater Wellington Disc Golf page. Feel free to follow that. It has the bank account details there. Transfer it now. As soon as it clears, you'll get your bag tags on the weekend. You'll be able to battle them both at Hosker and for the pop-up. And also, we do have to shout out Henry Take Witty is Easter weekend, so the weekend before Taupo, the Take Witty Classic up at Brook Park.
Lovely stuff.
So don't miss that. Apparently, the data analytics team is, like hogging all of the CPUs of Matt's computer. So unfortunately, we've missed a couple events. We apologize for that.
Yes, we'll fix that for the future. But wherever you're playing disc golf this week, play well. Get some birdies. Take it easy. See you later.
Peace.